Alright YouTube, what is up? Today's video is, as you can see, it's going to be on the savanna monitor. And more importantly, if it's the right pet for you, the right reptile for you. So I'm just going to go over some things, some pros and cons kind of, and just discuss the savanna monitor. Hopefully if you're making a decision, if you want one or not, this might help. So just to introduce this guy, if you guys haven't seen him on my channel yet, his name is Dracarys, sorry, I can't even say his name right. Which obviously from Game of Thrones. I've had him, I should have checked the exact date when I got him, but it's been about 2.5 years, I would say, maybe 3. I got him as a very small baby at Outback Reptiles, and he is so cool. He's one of my favorite animals. But with that being said, it doesn't mean that it's the right pet for you. So I have a list over here on my tablet, and I'm going to go over some things, and we'll see. Alright, so the first thing I want to bring up is the actual price of the animal is super cheap. I think I paid $25 for 2 of these guys actually. I ended up rehoming one because 2 was just too much. I should have only gotten 1. But you live and learn. So this is the one that I kept. It's obviously really big. I got rid of the other one when they were still pretty small. So the reptile itself is super cheap. Like I said, I think I paid $25 for it. Now don't freak out. You might think he's trying to bite me or something. He's just trying to get some stuck shed off. As you can see, my pajama pants. So anyway, the actual animal itself is really cheap, but everything else for him is super expensive. As far as they need different sizes tanks as they get older. You start in a 20-gallon and a 40-gallon, and then you gotta build a custom cage, which is really expensive. They eat different things throughout their life period, but as an adult they eat rats and mice and ground turkey and stuff, which can get pretty expensive to feed them because they are big, so they do eat kind of a lot. I usually feed a lot of different things. The main diet, I guess you could say, is like a small or medium rat. I try to get the medium ones if they're not too big for him. He also eats ground turkey. He eats eggs. He eats like chicken liver and chicken gizzards and whatnot. I'll give him hornworms and superworms. Any bug that's pretty much big enough for him to eat. Obviously crickets and mealworms are a little bit too small of a prey item for him. So that's the first thing. It's just to consider that they are cheap, but everything else afterwards is not cheap for the most part. It's just something to keep in mind. Alright, so the next part is going to be they need different size cages throughout their lifespan. So if you're someone who is like, alright, I want to buy this tank and then not have to worry about anything, it's not the case. You need a smaller tank when they're small because they need a lot of area to dig, so you need deep dirt, but you also need a smaller cage so they feel comfortable, and you want to build your way up through the cage sizes. So I started with them when I had 2. They were in a 20-gallon. They were really tiny, probably about the size of my finger, to be honest. That's how small they were. Maybe my pinky. They were really tiny. And then I moved them up to a 40-gallon, so I bought a 40-gallon after the 20-gallon. After probably 2 months, they got big pretty quick. And then, as you can see here, I ended up building a custom cage after the 40-gallon. And I'll probably go over that a little bit when I get to the next points. So that's another thing you want to consider if you have the extra cages or you don't want to buy multiple cages. It's kind of something you guys kind of have to do with these guys. Another point I wanted to make is they eat a lot. They eat a variety of things at different ages. Hatchlings can eat crickets and superworms, wet dog food, and mouse pinkies and whatnot. And then you kind of just so they're growing, so they can use all the fat content and all the vitamins and everything from those items. And then once they get bigger, you want to watch the fat content, so you don't want to give them any baby rodents. You want to give them full-grown rodents. Full animals and diets are probably the best thing. They get the bones, they get the hair, they get every aspect of the rat in their body. which is good. Kind of already went over the food, so I'm going to skip this section for now. All right, so the main thing is, if you live in a small house or a small apartment or something, this guy is not going to be a good choice. Now, the reason for that is they need a humongous cage, and I'll explain why. So they obviously need it for, just the space in general, so move around. So what I did here was I built this cage. I have this part down here, which is like his kind of bedtime area where he sleeps. He goes in this little hide here and curls up and goes to sleep. It's just like a dry area that's cooler on the bottom. Then you got the heat up top. So I got a 150 watt heat bulb. It gets about 110 degrees up here after the light's been on for a while. Then I have a ramp going down, as you can kind of see here, into the dirt area with the big water bowl. The dirt goes all the way even under that wooden thing. It's kind of like his other hiding spot. You can kind of see a little bit that he's dug down. There's like a tunnel way under there that reaches all the way to the other side that he built. The dirt is a combination of, regular organic, no fertilizer soil. I also mix sand into it to give it a little bit of structure. And then I also put some like peat moss on top just to keep the moisture in. Dirt's important because they really like to dig and explore and build tunnels and whatnot. It's also really important because they dig under it, and it's how they kind of control the humidity and moisture to get all this shit off. So as you can see, he's shedding. So he's probably going to be digging here in a couple of days to try to get the rest of his shed off. So yeah, you need a lot of space. So you have this big ass cage. This takes up one whole wall of my room. It even goes back farther than you can kind of see. So that's the main thing. If you could afford to build the big cage, you're handy and you build the big cage, you have the room for it, then you're pretty much set for the most part. The main thing is the big cage. Most people don't have the room for it, or want to build a big cage for them, but they definitely need a big cage. All right. The next thing I want to do is the savanna monitor, which I guess is the second most important part. They need, how do I really say it? They need taming, and they need to earn your trust. They're not going to be perfect as they grow up. They're going to tame down a lot more once they're bigger and they're not scared of you. But what I did every day since they were babies, or he was a baby, he or she, I don't know the gender actually. What I did was I put him in like a bathtub full of water. So what they would do is they would swim like crazy because obviously they don't want to drown. So I put up a good amount of water, keeping an eye on them, make sure they're swimming and everything. Now the reason I did that is, one, obviously it's good to give badgers to get all the dirtiness and shed off, but the main reason is it will tire them out as they're swimming. So they're a lot more handleable when they're in your hand. They're tired, whatnot. Plus, I also have my hand in the swim or in the bathtub with the water. That way, when they get tired or whatever, they've realized that my hand is a safe place for them to relax and chill, and they won't drown. They won't get hurt if they're on my hand, which I believe helped once they got older, because they kind of got used to my hands and everything, and they kind of saw it as a good thing instead of a negative thing. So that's kind of what I did. I held them every single day, played with them, let them run around. Even if they were in a bad mood and trying to bite and hit me with their tail, I still took him out every single time, just so he would learn that when he's out and in my hands, he's safe. He's not in any trouble. No one's going to hurt him, especially when I'm with him. And I actually found one day I had the door open and I was playing with him like this, and he was like, I was way in this corner, I think cleaning the cage when I'm not paying attention, and he was all the way over here climbing the wall. Well, long story short, my roommate's cat came in hot, pretty much like trying to hunt the savanna monitor down. And I unfortunately didn't catch it right away, but Dracaris here ran straight to me and ran literally up my leg and up my back. So this guy knows that I'm here to help him, I'm here to save him, I'm here to make sure he's okay and feed him, and that I personally won't do him any harm. So that day was kind of really huge for me to know that he trusts me. Because obviously he wouldn't do that if he felt threatened by me. He would try to hide in a little small space or something. So I thought that was really cool. You have to build trust, and the way I did that, besides, the taming process is I never ever dug him out anywhere. So if he was down digging in the sand, chilling, I left him there. I want him to know that the dirt and wherever he goes in the cage is his safe spot. I only take him out if he is up there in the basking spot, or if he's down here climbing the cage looking like he wants to get out. When he's in his hide here, that's like his main safe spot. When he's in that hide, I don't touch him. I don't look at him. I just let him chill in there. And it builds trust. That way he knows if he's in there, I'm not going to fuck with him. He can go in there if he doesn't want to go out. And then he realizes, okay, when I go out and bask or I go around the cage, then he might take me out and he feels safe. I guarantee you, if he's sleeping in this thing one day, especially when he was younger, and I try to pull him out and touch him and, pull on his tail or whatever to try to get him out of there, I would have lost a lot of trust from him. He would be more nervous when my hand goes in the cage. So it's basically just treating the animal with respect, and they will end up respecting you. Savanna monitors, people say, are really hard to tame. I don't know if I had really good luck, but it wasn't that hard. It just took time and patience and understanding that it's not going to happen right away. Point into after saying this part about taming, because people need to realize that savanna monitors, or any monitor for the most part, especially the bigger ones, but even the smaller ones like savanna monitors, they could really fucking hurt you, like real bad.
Body shot that took him down. Here comes Mike Spinks in. He leads to the right hand. Down he goes. I don't think he'll get up from this. Mike Spinks is laying flat on his back. The count is up to 5 and 6.
Like, people don't understand, like, they could put you in the hospital. So that's why you have to make sure they're tame, especially when they're this big. Especially if you have younger kids or nieces and nephews like I do that want to play with them. You want to make sure that they're not going to bite their hands off. They have a lot of different things that could hurt you if they wanted to. And that's the key thing. If they really wanted to hurt you, they will, and they can hurt you. Not much you could do about it except run. I've been lucky enough that this guy has only bit me once, and he was probably only halfway grown, and I essentially was just blocking off his paths everywhere he went just to keep him on my lap, and he ended up biting my arm because he was pissed off that I kept trying to block him going where he was. So I've gotten lucky, but they can really hurt you. They have really sharp teeth, which is used to serrate, the prey and the bugs and the rats and whatnot. They also, along with their mouths, they have really strong jaws. To give you an example, I feed this guy, large rats and medium rats and whatnot, and he will literally, grab them by their head, and he will literally crush their skulls. So you literally hear it crush the skulls into nothing, which, rats aren't the biggest thing, but a medium rat's a decent size, bones and everything real easily with their powerful jaws. So you have to watch out for that. The next thing, and the thing people don't even think about, is this big ass tail they got, kind of like iguanas. They could whip this tail. I wish I can kind of show how they do it, but he's never really pissed off with me. So they whip this tail back and forth, and when they whip it, it could literally hurt. If you have a very small kid and they whip them, they could probably break an arm or a leg or fracture an ankle or something with their tail. It's unusually powerful and a lot more powerful than you would think. So that could hurt you, especially if it's in the face or like a stomach area or somewhere. That would definitely hurt. I've seen him do the tail whip when he was younger and just against the cage. And sometimes I was scared that the glass tank was going to break. That's how hard and loud the tail was. Now the second weapon they have, which is why I'm wearing long pants and a hoodie, is these freaking claws. Let me show him their claws, dude. Now he needs a nail trim. I just haven't really done it yet. I kind of need to research it more. But to kind of get some trim just from climbing up and down the wood and dirt and whatnot and walking around here. But these things are sharp. If he actually put some pressure down on me and dug like he does on the dirt and stuff, he will literally, I would need stitches. Those claws can literally rip through your skin when he's trying to hurt you. Now, even when he's not trying to hurt you, like right now, the reason why I put the hoodie on and everything, because those nails grip really tight and they hurt even when he's just climbing and being nice and trying not to hurt you. That shit still hurts, I promise you. Those nails really get you to leave scars. And like I said, if he's trying to actually use the claws, you will need to go to the hospital. They will fuck you up. So that is the biggest reason why you want to tame them the best you can, as fast as you can, as young as they are, and keep up with it. Um, all these points kind of lead together. But the next point is I want to let you guys know is Savannah monitors are really smart. He's figured out his cage. He climbs up this way sometimes to go up top. He uses the thing sometimes. They're really smart, which is probably one of the biggest reasons I like him so much. Just super intelligent. When I was adding the new dirt over here a couple weeks ago, he was literally standing on top of here just watching me, not attacking or anything, just seeing what I was doing in his house. And it honestly seemed like he understood what I was doing. I took the old dirt out and I put new dirt in, make sure it was nice and moist and everything. And he was so happy. You can just tell he was genuinely happy, which is really weird for a reptile. Usually reptiles don't really have emotions or anything. He's always watching what's going on. Every time I'm in the room or cleaning, whatever, he always makes an appearance and makes sure that he's kind of just watching out, seeing what's going on. They're very inquisitive. They want to know what's going on. You could tell that they have the brain power. They are really smart as he navigates through this little maze. There's been so many times where he's literally surprised me with their intelligence. I had interactions with him, and I was like, "Holy shit!" That took some brain power for him to do that. I would think. You could even tell just by how he walks around and everything. He's analyzing everything. He's smelling the air. He's figuring out, what's what. Super smart. It's definitely my favorite thing. Um, I also feel like now, if you guys don't know, I have ball pythons, I have leopard geckos, I have bearded dragons. I breed a bunch of different reptiles. No, we don't got to go in that way. Well, there's that tail action I was saying, gripping things. Anyways, back to my point. Sorry, I got a little distracted. So I have all those animals, and I honestly think I have the best and biggest connection with this guy. I feel like, unlike the other reptiles, I feel like he actually understands, life kind of. He understands the life cycle. He understands, protection. Kind of like a dog. It reminds me of a lot like a dog or a puppy. They kind of look at you as, okay, they give me food, they love me, they let me out of the cage to do all these things, and they never hurt me. Which takes some intelligence to understand that, you know what I mean? It really does. Even ball pythons, even like, I have one that I've had forever that's super tame. Every once in a while, he'll get nasty because he doesn't want to come out or whatever. And that's just because he doesn't really have the brain power, to really comprehend, okay, I'm taking him out so he can, walk around or slither around. And it's actually benefit for the animal. This guy understands when I take him out, it's not for me. I mean, yeah, it's for me. I have fun and everything, but I take him out just so he can walk around and do his thing. The next point, which I kind of already talked about with the cage and everything, is no matter what, male, female, whatever size cage you have, there's nothing you can do to hold back this guy from growing. They're going to grow, they're going to get big. Let's see if I can kind of get a good, accurate description about how this big guy is. Oh, his claws. Alright, so this is him. Now, I'm about 6 foot, and I have really long arms. And as you can see, I mean, it's hard to tell, he's kind of climbing around and everything, but he's just as long as my arm, which is pretty freaking long. They get big, they eat a lot. These aren't for everybody. They take a lot of patience. Like I said, they get big. You can't be scared of them when they get big. Gotta tame them, you gotta keep them out. You gotta do all the things. I think a lot of people who have these guys, once they get big, they kind of get a little nervous. Maybe they haven't tamed them, so they're not nice, and they kind of just live lives in their cages, which I guess is fine, but it's not really, you don't really get the enjoyment of the Savannah monitor unless you actually, take them out, play with them, hang out, and do all the things that they like to do. They love walking around, they love looking at things, but they do get really, really big, so they're not for everybody. Obviously, Savannah monitors are probably one of the smaller monitors, but they still get humongous. As you can see, he's like across the room, and my hand is still on his tail. So that's another thing to consider. As they're big, so they eat a lot. They poop a lot. They need big water bowls. They need big cages. Everything essentially has to be bigger because they are bigger, and there's no way around it. There's no cheap way to get around it or anything. They just need a lot of space. Everything they do and everything you need for them needs to just be bigger than your typical animal. Um, Even as far as they need a big container just for baths when you give them a bath. Like I might give this guy a bath because as you see, he has some stuck shed. He has the humidity control and everything, but every once in a while they need a little bit of extra help. So I put him in a big tub with some warm water and some sheddies, and I just let him soak in there for a little bit. They usually go in the bathroom in there. So yeah, everything needs to be bigger. Another thing to consider is most savanna monitors are wild caught, or the mom comes from the wild and they take their eggs from the wild and hatch them in captivity. There's not a lot of um, captive bred savanna monitors, at least not yet, and probably never will be, for a couple of reasons. It's just something to keep in mind. Make sure you get them from a reputable breeder or reptile place that way they dewormed them and make sure there's no parasites and everything. You also want to keep these guys away from your other reptiles when you first get them, since they are wild caught. You want to make sure there aren't any mites or anything, which can spread to your other reptiles. Like I said, I got mine from Outback Reptiles, which are kind of known for their wild caught and stuff. Who are you hissing at? I'll smack the shit out of you. Just kidding. I won't actually smack you, but so I guess that kind of brings up another point. Even when they are super puppy tame and everything, they'll still hiss sometimes. They can still hurt you, whatever. So you always gotta be on your guard. Um, because they're reptiles. They have moods. Sometimes in a good mood, sometimes in a bad mood. Some days he literally wants to stay on my lap. Or like some days like today, he wants to literally go everywhere and explore everywhere and everything. And it's getting a little pissed that I'm stopping him from doing that. But it is what it is. Don't mind the ground. I just cleaned, and plus his shed gets all over the place. So I haven't vacuumed yet. And the reason why people don't really have them captive bred is I forget the exact time, but I think they take about 6 months in the incubator to hatch, which is a really long time. So you're spending all that time on the energy, electricity, whatever incubator space in the incubator, and then once they do hatch out after 6 months, you could sell them for $20. So it really isn't worth it as far as a reptile business goes. Granted, I'm sure there are a bunch of people. I think Nerd does it. Some other people are real passionate about just monitors that captive bred them because they just want them to keep captive bred and left alone, not taken from the wild. So that's something a big thing to consider for a lot of people. Something I considered. I would actually want one because I kind of wanted to keep all captive animals, but I pulled the trigger and I couldn't be happier. Um, So yeah, guys, that's just kind of my overview on the Savannah monitor. I kind of hope it helps maybe make a decision if you were wondering maybe if something you should get or whatnot. Essentially, I'll put it to you this way: if you see this guy right now, how big he is, my hands all over him and everything. Um, I want to point out the one, this isn't really normal. She's super tame. I chill with him all the time. That's my homie. I have him out of the cage. He's used to me. But if you see me and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe he's putting his hand there, or he's so big, whatever, aren't you nervous that he's going to hit you with his tail, or aren't you nervous that he's going to bite you? Is there a chance all those things happen? Of course. But no, I'm not scared. So if you're scared and you're worried and you're having anxiety right now of me playing them, probably not the best thing for you. Maybe if you don't have any reptiles, I definitely wouldn't recommend coming straight to the Savannah Monitor. Maybe get another reptile that's almost similar, maybe like a bearded dragon. They're kind of intelligent. They kind of don't move around much. But just use your brain. If it's something that you think, oh, we'll see how it goes. Just don't. If you're like, okay, I understand it gets really big. I understand it takes a lot of time and patience to train them. You're like, okay, I have the room for a tank. I'm handy. I could build this big ass cage when he gets older. I have the room. Yada yada. Then I say, go for it. Yeah, I mean, there's no reason not to get one. They have a bad reputation for being really mean and hard to tame or whatever. But as you can see, just take some time and effort. Don't believe everything you hear from people. People kind of give them a bad rep, but they're super awesome animals. And if you've watched the video and you're okay with everything I said, all the things to consider, then I say go ahead. It's super rewarding experience. Um, they live for a long time. He's so big, I don't gotta worry about him getting lost or anything. Like as you can see,